Exodus, chapter 1. 57. 1. These are the names of the sons of Israel who, accompanied by their households, migrated with Jacob into Egypt. 2. Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah. 3. Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin. 4. Dan and Naphtali, Gad and Asher. 5. The total number of the direct descendants of Jacob was 70. Joseph was already in Egypt. 6. Now Joseph and all his brothers and that whole generation died. 7. But the Israelites were fruitful and prolific. They became so numerous and strong that the land was filled with them. 8. Then a new king, who knew nothing of Joseph 4, came to power in Egypt. 9. He said to his subjects, "Look how numerous and powerful the Israelite people are growing, more so than we ourselves. 10. Come, let us deal shrewdly with them to stop their increase. Otherwise, in time of war they too may join our enemies to fight against us, and so leave our country." 11. Accordingly, taskmasters were set over the Israelites to oppress them with forced labor. Thus they had to build for Pharaoh the supply cities of Pithom and Ramses. 12. Yet the more they were oppressed, the more they multiplied and spread. The Egyptians then dreaded the Israelites. 13. And reduced them to cruel slavery. 14. Making life bitter for them with hard work in mortar and brick, and all kinds of field work, the whole cruel fate of slaves. 15. The king of Egypt told the Hebrew midwives, one of whom was called Shiphrah and the other Puah. 16. When you act as midwives for the Hebrew women and see them giving birth, if it is a boy, kill him, but if it is a girl, she may live. 17. The midwives, however, feared God. They did not do as the king of Egypt had ordered them, but let the boys live. 18. So the king summoned the midwives and asked them, "Why have you acted thus, allowing the boys to live?" 19. The midwives answered Pharaoh, "The Hebrew women are not like the Egyptian women. They are robust and give birth before the midwife arrives." 20. Therefore God dealt well with the midwives. The people too increased and grew strong. 21. And because the midwives feared God, he built up families for them. 22. Pharaoh then commanded all his subjects, "Throw into the river every boy that is born to the Hebrews, but you may let all the girls live." Exodus chapter 2. 1. Now a certain man of the house of Levi married a Levite woman, 2, who conceived and bore a son. Seeing that he was a goodly child, she hid him for 3 months. 3. When she could hide him no longer, she took a papyrus basket, daubed it with bitumen and pitch, and putting the child in it, placed it among the reeds on the riverbank. 4. His sister stationed herself at a distance to find out what would happen to him. 5. Pharaoh's daughter came down to the river to bathe, while her maids walked along the riverbank. Noticing the basket among the reeds, she sent her handmaid to fetch it. 6. On opening it, she looked, and lo, there was a baby boy crying. She was moved with pity for him and said, "It is one of the Hebrews' children." 7. Then his sister asked Pharaoh's daughter, "Shall I go and call one of the Hebrew women to nurse the child for you?" 8. Yes, do so, she answered. So the maiden went and called the child's own mother. 9. Pharaoh's daughter said to her, "Take this child and nurse it for me, and I will repay you." The woman therefore took the child and nursed it. 10. When the child grew, she brought him to Pharaoh's daughter, who adopted him as her son and called him Moses, for she said, "I drew him out of the water." 11. On one occasion, after Moses had grown up, when he visited his kinsmen and witnessed their forced labor, he saw an Egyptian striking a Hebrew, one of his own kinsmen. 12. Looking about and seeing no one, he slew the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. 13. The next day he went out again, and now 2 Hebrews were fighting. So he asked the culprit, "Why are you striking your fellow Hebrew?" 14. But he replied, "Who has appointed you ruler and judge over us? Are you thinking of killing me as you killed the Egyptian?" Then Moses became afraid and thought, "The affair must certainly be known." 15. Pharaoh, too, heard of the affair and sought to put him to death. But Moses fled from him and stayed in the land of Midian. As he was seated there by a well, 16. 7 daughters of a priest of Midian came to draw water and fill the troughs to water their father's flock. 17. But some shepherds came and drove them away. Then Moses got up and defended them and watered there. 58. Flock. 18. When they returned to their father Reuel, he said to them, "How is it you have returned so soon today?" 19. They answered, "An Egyptian saved us from the interference of the shepherds. He even drew water for us and watered the flock." 20. Where is the man? He asked his daughters. Why did you leave him there? Invite him to have something to eat. 21. Moses agreed to live with him, and the man gave him his daughter Zipporah in marriage. 22. She bore him a son, whom he named Gershom, for he said, "I am a stranger in a foreign land." 23. A long time passed, during which the king of Egypt died. Still the Israelites groaned and cried out because of their slavery. As their cry for release went up to God, 24, he heard their groaning and was mindful of his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. 25, he saw the Israelites and knew. Exodus chapter 3. Meanwhile Moses was tending the flock of his father-in-law Jethro, the priest of Midian. Leading the flock across the desert, he came to Horeb, the mountain of God. 2, there an angel of the Lord appeared to him in fire flaming out of a bush. As he looked on, he was surprised to see that the bush, though on fire, was not consumed. 3, so Moses decided, I must go over to look at this remarkable sight and see why the bush is not burned. 4, when the Lord saw him coming over to look at it more closely, God called out to him from the bush, Moses, Moses, he answered, Here I am. 5, God said, Come no nearer, remove the sandals from your feet, for the place where you stand is holy ground. 6, I am the God of your father, he continued, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look at God. 7, but the Lord said, I have witnessed the affliction of my people in Egypt, and have heard their cry of complaint against their slave drivers, so I know well what they are suffering. 8, therefore I have come down to rescue them from the hands of the Egyptians, and lead them out of that land into a good and spacious land, a land flowing with milk and honey, the country of the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. 9, so indeed the cry of the Israelites has reached me, and I have truly noted that the Egyptians are oppressing them. 10, come now, I will send you to Pharaoh to lead my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt. 11, but Moses said to God, Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and lead the Israelites out of Egypt? 12, he answered, I will be with you, and this shall be your proof that it is I who have sent you. When you bring my people out of Egypt, you will worship God on this very mountain. 13, but, said Moses to God, when I go to the Israelites and say to them, The God of your fathers has sent me to you, if they ask me, What is his name? What am I to tell them? 14, God replied, I am who am. Then he added, This is what you shall tell the Israelites, I am sent me to you. 15, God spoke further to Moses, Thus shall you say to the Israelites, The Lord, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, has sent me to you. This is my name forever, this is my title for all generations. 16, go and assemble the elders of the Israelites, and tell them, The Lord, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, has appeared to me and said, I am concerned about you and about the way you are being treated in Egypt. 17, so I have decided to lead you up out of the misery of Egypt into the land of the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites, a land flowing with milk and honey. 18, thus they will heed your message. Then you and the elders of Israel shall go to the king of Egypt and say to him, The Lord, the God of the Hebrews, has sent us word. Permit us then to go a 3 days' journey in the desert, that we may offer sacrifice to the Lord our God. 19, yet I know that the king of Egypt will not allow you to go, unless he is forced. 20, I will stretch out my hand, therefore, and smite Egypt by doing all kinds of wondrous deeds there. After that, he will send you away. 21, I will even make the Egyptians so well disposed toward this people that, when you leave, you will not go empty-handed. 22, every woman shall ask her neighbor and her house guest for silver and gold articles, and for clothing to put on your sons and daughters. Thus you will despoil the Egyptians. 59. Exodus chapter 4. 1, but objected Moses, Suppose they will not believe me, nor listen to my plea. For they may say, The Lord did not appear to you. 2, the Lord therefore asked him, What is that in your hand? A staff, he answered. 3, the Lord then said, Throw it on the ground. When he threw it on the ground, it was changed into a serpent, and Moses shied away from it. 4, now put out your hand, the Lord said to him, and take hold of its tail. So he put out his hand and laid hold of it, and it became a staff in his hand. 5, this will take place so that they may believe, he continued, that the Lord, the God of their fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, did appear to you. 6, again the Lord said to him, Put your hand in your bosom. He put it in his bosom, and when he withdrew it, to his surprise, his hand was leprous like snow. 7, the Lord then said, Now put your hand back in your bosom. Moses put his hand back in his bosom, and when he withdrew it, to his surprise, it was again like the rest of his body. 8, if they will not believe you, nor heed the message of the first sign, they should believe the message of the second. 9, and if they will not believe even these 2 signs, nor heed your plea, take some water from the river and pour it on the dry land. The water you take from the river will become blood on the dry land." 10 Moses, however, said to the Lord, "If you please, Lord, I have never been eloquent, neither in the past, nor recently, nor now that you have spoken to your servant, but I am slow of speech and tongue." 11 The Lord said to him, "Who gives one man speech and makes another deaf and dumb, or who gives sight to one and makes another blind? Is it not I the Lord?" 12 Go then, it is I who will assist you in speaking and will teach you what you are to say. 13 Yet he insisted, "If you please, Lord, send someone else." 14 Then the Lord became angry with Moses and said, "Have you not your brother Aaron the Levite? I know that he is an eloquent speaker. Besides, he is now on his way to meet you. 15 When he sees you, his heart will be glad. You are to speak to him then, and put the words in his mouth. I will assist both you and him in speaking, and will teach the two of you what you are to do. 16 He shall speak to the people for you. He shall be your spokesman, and you shall be as God to him. 17 Take this staff in your hand. With it you are to perform the signs. 18 After this Moses returned to his father-in-law Jethro and said to him, "Let me go back, please, to my kinsmen in Egypt, to see whether they are still living." Jethro replied, "Go in peace." 19 In Midian the Lord said to Moses, "Go back to Egypt, for all the men who sought your life are dead." 20 So Moses took his wife and his sons and started back to the land of Egypt, with them riding the ass. The staff of God he carried with him. 21 The Lord said to him, "On your return to Egypt, see that you perform before Pharaoh all the wonders I have put in your power. I will make him obstinate, however, so that he will not let the people go." 22 So you shall say to Pharaoh, "Thus says the Lord, Israel is my son, my firstborn." 23 Hence I tell you, let my son go that he may serve me. If you refuse to let him go, I warn you, I will kill your son, your firstborn. 24 On the journey, at a place where they spent the night, the Lord came upon Moses and would have killed him. 25 But Zipporah took a piece of flint and cut off her son's foreskin, and touching his person, she said, "You are a spouse of blood to me." 26 Then God let Moses go. At that time she said, "A spouse of blood," in regard to the circumcision. 27 The Lord said to Aaron, "Go into the desert to meet Moses." So he went, and when they met at the mountain of God, Aaron kissed him. 28 Moses informed him of all the Lord had said in sending him, and of the various signs he had enjoined upon him. 29 Then Moses and Aaron went and assembled all the elders of the Israelites. 30 Aaron told them everything the Lord had said to Moses, and he performed the signs before the people. 31 The people believed, and when they heard that the Lord was concerned about them and had seen their affliction, they bowed down in worship. Exodus chapter 5. 60. One after that, Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh and said, "Thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, let my people go, that they may celebrate a feast to me in the desert." 2 Pharaoh answered, "Who is the Lord, that I should heed his plea to let Israel go? I do not know the Lord. Even if I did, I would not let Israel go." 3 They replied, "The God of the Hebrews has sent us word. Let us go a 3 days' journey in the desert, that we may offer sacrifice to the Lord our God. Otherwise he will punish us with pestilence or the sword." 4 The king of Egypt answered them, "What do you mean, Moses and Aaron, by taking the people away from their work? Off to your labor." 5 Look how numerous the people of the land are already, continued Pharaoh, and yet you would give them rest from their labor. 6 That very day Pharaoh gave the taskmasters and foremen of the people this order. 7 You shall no longer supply the people with straw for their brickmaking, as you have previously done. Let them go and gather straw themselves. 8 Yet you shall levy upon them the same quota of bricks as they have previously made. Do not reduce it. They are lazy, that is why they are crying, "Let us go to offer sacrifice to our God." 9 Increase the work for the men, so that they keep their mind on it and pay no attention to lying words. 10 So the taskmasters and foremen of the people went out and told them, "Thus says Pharaoh, I will not provide you with straw." 11 Go and gather the straw yourselves wherever you can find it, yet there must not be the slightest reduction in your work. 12 The people then scattered throughout the land of Egypt to gather stubble for straw. 13 While the taskmasters kept driving them on, saying, "Finish your work, the same daily amount as when your straw was supplied." 14 The foremen of the Israelites, whom the taskmasters of Pharaoh had placed over them, were beaten and were asked, "Why have you not completed your prescribed amount of bricks yesterday and today, as before?" 15 Then the Israelite foremen came and made this appeal to Pharaoh, why do you treat your servants in this manner? 16. No straw is supplied to your servants, and still we are told to make bricks. Look how your servants are beaten. It is you who are at fault. 17. Pharaoh answered, it is just because you are lazy that you keep saying, let us go and offer sacrifice to the Lord. 18. Off to work then. Straw shall not be provided for you, but you must still deliver your quota of bricks. 19. The Israelite foremen knew they were in a sorry plight, having been told not to reduce the daily amount of bricks. 20. When, therefore, they left Pharaoh and came upon Moses and Aaron, who were waiting to meet them. 21. They said to them, the Lord look upon you and judge. You have brought us into bad odor with Pharaoh and his servants, and have put a sword in their hands to slay us. 22. Moses again had recourse to the Lord and said, Lord, why do you treat this people so badly? And why did you send me on such a mission? 23. Ever since I went to Pharaoh to speak in your name, he has maltreated this people of yours, and you have done nothing to rescue them. Exodus chapter 6. 1. Then the Lord answered Moses, now you shall see what I will do to Pharaoh. Forced by my mighty hand, he will send them away. Compelled by my outstretched arm, he will drive them from his land. 2. God also said to Moses, I am the Lord. 3. As God the Almighty I appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but my name, Lord, I did not make known to them. 4. I also established my covenant with them, to give them the land of Canaan, the land in which they were living as aliens. 5. And now that I have heard the groaning of the Israelites, whom the Egyptians are treating as slaves, I am mindful of my covenant. 6. Therefore, say to the Israelites, I am the Lord. I will free you from the forced labor of the Egyptians, and will deliver you from their slavery. I will rescue you by my outstretched arm, and with mighty acts of judgment. 7. I will take you as my own people, and you shall have me as your God. You will know that I, the Lord, am your God when I free you from the labor of the Egyptians. 8. And bring you into the land which I swore to give to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I will give it to you as your own possession, I, the Lord. 9. But when Moses told this to the Israelites, they would not listen to him because of their dejection and hard slavery. 10. Then 61. The Lord said to Moses, 11. Go and tell Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to let the Israelites leave his land. But Moses protested to the Lord, if the Israelites would not listen to me, how can it be that Pharaoh will listen to me, poor speaker that I am? 13. Still, the Lord, to bring the Israelites out of Egypt, spoke to Moses and Aaron, and gave them his orders regarding both the Israelites and Pharaoh, king of Egypt. 14. These are the heads of the ancestral houses. The sons of Reuben, the firstborn of Israel, were Hanok, Pallu, Hezron, and Carmi. These are the clans of Reuben. 15. The sons of Simeon were Jenuel, Jamin, Ohad, Jachin, Zohar, and Shaul, who was the son of a Canaanite woman. These are the clans of Simeon. 16. The names of the sons of Levi, in their genealogical order, are Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. Levi lived 137 years. 17. The sons of Gershon, as heads of clans, were Libni and Shimei. 18. The sons of Kohath were Amram, Izhar, Hebron, and Uzziel. Kohath lived 133 years. 19. The sons of Merari were Mali and Mushi. These are the clans of Levi in their genealogical order. 20. Amram married his aunt Jochebed, who bore him Aaron, Moses, and Miriam. Amram lived 137 years. 21. The sons of Izhar were Korah, Nepheg, and Zikri. 22. The sons of Uzziel were Mishael, Elzaphan, and Sithri. 23. Aaron married Amminadab's daughter, Elisheba, the sister of Nahshon. She bore him Nadab, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. 24. The sons of Korah were Asir, Elkanah, and Abiasaph. These are the clans of the Korahites. 25. Aaron's son, Eleazar, married one of Putiel's daughters, who bore him Phinehas. These are the heads of the ancestral clans of the Levites. 26. This is the Aaron and this the Moses to whom the Lord said, lead the Israelites from the land of Egypt, company by company. 27. These are the ones who spoke to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to bring the Israelites out of Egypt, the same Moses and Aaron. 28. On the day the Lord spoke to Moses in Egypt. 29. He said, I am the Lord. Repeat to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, all that I tell you. 30. But Moses protested to the Lord, since I am a poor speaker, how can it be that Pharaoh will listen to me? Exodus chapter 7. 1. The Lord answered him, see, I have made you as God to Pharaoh, and Aaron your brother shall act as your prophet. 2. You shall tell him all that I command you. In turn, your brother Aaron shall tell Pharaoh to let the Israelites leave his land. 3. Yet I will make Pharaoh so obstinate that, despite the many signs and wonders that I will work in the land of Egypt, for he will not listen to you. Therefore I will lay my hand on Egypt, and by great acts of judgment I will bring the hosts of my people, the Israelites, out of the land of Egypt. 5. So that the Egyptians may learn that I am the Lord, as I stretch out my hand against Egypt and lead the Israelites out of their midst. 6. Moses and Aaron did as the Lord had commanded them. 7. Moses was 80 years old and Aaron 83 when they spoke to Pharaoh. 8. The Lord told Moses and Aaron, 9. If Pharaoh demands that you work a sign or wonder, you shall say to Aaron, take your staff and throw it down before Pharaoh, and it will be changed into a snake. 10. Then Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh and did as the Lord had commanded. Aaron threw his staff down before Pharaoh and his servants, and it was changed into a snake. 11. Pharaoh in turn summoned wise men and sorcerers, and they also, the magicians of Egypt, did likewise by their magic arts. 12. Each one threw down his staff, and it was changed into a snake, but Aaron's staff swallowed their staffs. 13. Pharaoh, however, was obstinate and would not listen to them, just as the Lord had foretold. 14. Then the Lord said to Moses, Pharaoh is obdurate in refusing to let the people go. 15. Tomorrow morning, when he sets out for the water, go and present yourself by the river bank, holding in your hand the staff that turned into a serpent. 16. Say to him, the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, sent me to you with the message, let my people go to worship me in the desert. But as yet you have not listened. 17. The Lord now says, this is how you shall know that I am the Lord. I will strike the water of the river with the staff I hold, and it shall be changed into blood. 18. The fish in the river shall die, and the 62. River itself shall become so polluted that the Egyptians will be unable to drink its water. 19. The Lord then said to Moses, say to Aaron, take your staff and stretch out your hand over the waters of Egypt, their streams and canals and pools, all their supplies of water, that they may become blood. Throughout the land of Egypt there shall be blood, even in the wooden pails and stone jars. 20. Moses and Aaron did as the Lord had commanded. Aaron raised his staff and struck the waters of the river in full view of Pharaoh and his servants, and all the water of the river was changed into blood. 21. The fish in the river died, and the river itself became so polluted that the Egyptians could not drink its water. There was blood throughout the land of Egypt. 22. But the Egyptian magicians did the same by their magic arts. So Pharaoh remained obstinate and would not listen to Moses and Aaron, just as the Lord had foretold. 23. He turned away and went into his house, with no concern even for this. 24. All the Egyptians had to dig in the neighborhood of the river for drinking water, since they could not drink the river water. 25. 7 days passed after the Lord had struck the river. 26. Then the Lord said to Moses, go to Pharaoh and tell him, thus says the Lord, let my people go to worship me. 27. If you refuse to let them go, I warn you, I will send a plague of frogs over all your territory. 28. The river will teem with frogs. They will come up into your palace and into your bedroom and onto your bed, into the houses of your servants, too, and your subjects, even into your ovens and your kneading bowls. 29. The frogs will swarm all over you and your subjects and your servants. Exodus chapter 8. 1. The Lord then told Moses, say to Aaron, stretch out your hand and your staff over the streams and canals and pools to make frogs over on the land of Egypt. 2. Aaron stretched out his hand over the waters of Egypt, and the frogs came up and covered the land of Egypt. 3. But the magicians did the same by their magic arts. They too made frogs over on the land of Egypt. 4. Then Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron and said, pray the Lord to remove the frogs from me and my subjects, and I will let the people go to offer sacrifice to the Lord. 5. Moses answered Pharaoh, do me the favor of appointing the time when I am to pray for you and your servants and your subjects, that the frogs may be taken away from you and your houses and be left only in the river. 6. Tomorrow, said Pharaoh. Then Moses replied, it shall be as you have said, so that you may learn that there is none like the Lord our God. 7. The frogs shall leave you and your houses, your servants and your subjects, only in the river shall they be left. 8. After Moses and Aaron left Pharaoh's presence, Moses implored the Lord to fulfill the promise he had made to Pharaoh about the frogs. 9. And the Lord did as Moses had asked. The frogs in the houses and courtyards and fields died off. 10 heaps and heaps of them were gathered up, and there was a stench in the land. 11. But when Pharaoh saw that there was a respite, he became obdurate and would not listen to them, just as the Lord had foretold. 12 Thereupon the Lord said to Moses, "Tell Aaron to stretch out his staff and strike the dust of the earth, that it may be turned into gnats throughout the land of Egypt." 13 They did so. Aaron stretched out his hand, and with his staff he struck the dust of the earth, and gnats came upon man and beast. The dust of the earth was turned into gnats throughout the land of Egypt. 14 Though the magicians tried to bring forth gnats by their magic arts, they could not do so, as the gnats infested man and beast. 15 The magicians said to Pharaoh, "This is the finger of God." Yet Pharaoh remained obstinate and would not listen to them, just as the Lord had foretold. 16 Again the Lord told Moses, "Early tomorrow morning present yourself to Pharaoh when he goes forth to the water, and say to him, 'Thus says the Lord, let my people go to worship me.'" 17 If you will not let my people go, I warn you, I will loose swarms of flies upon you and your servants and your subjects and your houses. The houses of the Egyptians and the very ground on which they stand shall be filled with swarms of flies. 18 But on that day I will make an exception of the land of Goshen. There shall be no flies where my people dwell, that you may. 63 Know that I am the Lord in the midst of the earth. 19 I will make this distinction between my people and your people. This sign shall take place tomorrow. 20 This the Lord did. Thick swarms of flies entered the house of Pharaoh and the houses of his servants. Throughout Egypt the land was infested with flies. 21 Then Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron and said to them, "Go and offer sacrifice to your God in this land." 22 But Moses replied, "It is not right to do so, for the sacrifices we offer to the Lord our God are an abomination to the Egyptians. If before their very eyes we offer sacrifices which are an abomination to them, will not the Egyptians stone us?" 23 We must go a 3 days' journey in the desert to offer sacrifice to the Lord our God, as he commands us. 24 Well then, said Pharaoh, I will let you go to offer sacrifice to the Lord your God in the desert, provided that you do not go too far away and that you pray for me. 25 Moses answered, As soon as I leave your presence, I will pray to the Lord that the flies may depart tomorrow from Pharaoh and his servants and his subjects. Pharaoh, however, must not play false again by refusing to let the people go to offer sacrifice to the Lord. 26 When Moses left Pharaoh's presence, he prayed to the Lord. 27 And the Lord did as Moses had asked. He removed the flies from Pharaoh and his servants and subjects. Not one remained. 28 But once more Pharaoh became obdurate and would not let the people go. Exodus chapter 9. 1 Then the Lord said to Moses, Go to Pharaoh and tell him, Thus says the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, Let my people go to worship me. 2 If you refuse to let them go and persist in holding them. 3 I warn you, the Lord will afflict all your livestock in the field, your horses, asses, camels, herds, and flocks, with a very severe pestilence. 4 But the Lord will distinguish between the livestock of Israel and that of Egypt, so that none belonging to the Israelites will die. 5 And setting a definite time, the Lord added, Tomorrow the Lord shall do this in the land. 6 And on the next day the Lord did so. All the livestock of the Egyptians died, but not one beast belonging to the Israelites. 7 But though Pharaoh's messengers informed him that not even one beast belonging to the Israelites had died, he still remained obdurate and would not let the people go. 8 Then the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, Take a double handful of soot from a furnace, and in the presence of Pharaoh let Moses scatter it toward the sky. 9 It will then turn into fine dust over the whole land of Egypt and cause festering boils on man and beast throughout the land. 10 So they took soot from a furnace and stood in the presence of Pharaoh. Moses scattered it toward the sky, and it caused festering boils on man and beast. 11 The magicians could not stand in Moses' presence, for there were boils on the magicians no less than on the rest of the Egyptians. 12 But the Lord made Pharaoh obstinate, and he would not listen to them, just as the Lord had foretold to Moses. 13 Then the Lord told Moses, Early tomorrow morning present yourself to Pharaoh and say to him, Thus says the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, Let my people go to worship me. 14 Or this time I will hurl all my blows upon you and your servants and your subjects, that you may know that there is none like me anywhere on earth. 15 For by now I would have stretched out my hand and struck you and your subjects with such pestilence as would wipe you from the earth. 16 But this is why I have spared you, to show you my power and to make my name resound throughout the earth. 17. Will you still block the way for my people by refusing to let them go? 18. I warn you then, tomorrow at this hour I will rain down such fierce hail as there has never been in Egypt from the day the nation was founded up to the present. 19. Therefore, order all your livestock and whatever else you have in the open fields to be brought to a place of safety. Whatever man or beast remains in the fields and is not brought to shelter shall die when the hail comes upon them. 20. Some of Pharaoh's servants feared the warning of the Lord and hurried their servants and livestock off to shelter. 21. Others, however, did not take the warning of the Lord to heart and left their servants and livestock in the fields. 22. The Lord then said to Moses, "Stretch out your hand toward the sky." 64. That hail may fall upon the entire land of Egypt, on man and beast and every growing thing in the land of Egypt. 23. When Moses stretched out his staff toward the sky, the Lord sent forth hail and peals of thunder. Lightning flashed toward the earth, and the Lord rained down hail upon the land of Egypt. 24. And lightning constantly flashed through the hail, such fierce hail as had never been seen in the land since Egypt became a nation. 25. It struck down every man and beast that was in the open throughout the land of Egypt. It beat down every growing thing and splintered every tree in the fields. 26. Only in the land of Goshen, where the Israelites dwelt, was there no hail. 27. Then Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron and said to them, "I have sinned again. The Lord is just. It is I and my subjects who are at fault." 28. Pray to the Lord, for we have had enough of God's thunder and hail. Then I will let you go. You need stay no longer. 29. Moses replied, "As soon as I leave the city, I will extend my hands to the Lord. The thunder will cease, and there will be no more hail. Thus you shall learn that the earth is the Lord's. 30. But you and your servants, I know, do not yet fear the Lord God." 31. Now the flax and the barley were ruined, because the barley was in ear and the flax in bud. 32. But the wheat and the spelt were not ruined, for they grow later. 33. When Moses had left Pharaoh's presence and had gone out of the city, he extended his hands to the Lord. Then the thunder and the hail ceased, and the rain no longer poured down upon the earth. 34. But Pharaoh, seeing that the rain and hail and thunder had ceased, sinned again. He with his servants became obdurate. 35. And in his obstinacy he would not let the Israelites go, as the Lord had foretold through Moses. Exodus chapter 10. 1. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Go to Pharaoh, for I have made him and his servants obdurate, in order that I may perform these signs of mine among them too, and that you may recount to your son and grandson how ruthlessly I dealt with the Egyptians, and what signs I wrought among them, so that you may know that I am the Lord." 3. So Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh and told him, "Thus says the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, how long will you refuse to submit to me? Let my people go to worship me. For if you refuse to let my people go, I warn you, tomorrow I will bring locusts into your country. 5. They shall cover the ground, so that the ground itself will not be visible. They shall eat up the remnant you saved unhurt from the hail, as well as all the foliage that has since sprouted in your fields. 6. They shall fill your houses and the houses of your servants and of all the Egyptians, such a sight your fathers or grandfathers have not seen from the day they first settled on this soil up to the present day." With that he turned and left Pharaoh. 7. But Pharaoh's servants said to him, "How long must he be a menace to us? Let the men go to worship the Lord, their God. Do you not yet realize that Egypt is being destroyed?" 8. So Moses and Aaron were brought back to Pharaoh, who said to them, "You may go and worship the Lord your God, but how many of you will go?" 9. Young and old must go with us, Moses answered. "Our sons and daughters as well as our flocks and herds must accompany us. That is what a feast of the Lord means to us." "The Lord help you," Pharaoh replied, "if I ever let your little ones go with you. Clearly you have some evil in mind." 11. No, just you men can go and worship the Lord. After all, that is what you want. With that they were driven from Pharaoh's presence. 12. The Lord then said to Moses, "Stretch out your hand over the land of Egypt, that locusts may swarm over it and eat up all the vegetation and whatever the hail has left." So Moses stretched out his staff over the land of Egypt, and the Lord sent an east wind blowing over the land all that day and all that night. At dawn the east wind brought the locusts. 14. They swarmed over the whole land of Egypt and settled down on every part of it. Never before had there been such a fierce swarm of locusts, nor will there ever be. 15. They covered the surface of the whole land till it was black with them. They ate up all the vegetation in the land and the fruit of whatever trees the hail had spared. Nothing green was left on any tree or plant throughout the land of Egypt. 16. Hastily Pharaoh. 65. Summoned Moses and Aaron and said, I have sinned against the Lord your God and against you. 17. But now do forgive me my sin once more, and pray the Lord your God to take at least this deadly pest from me. 18. When Moses left the presence of Pharaoh, he prayed to and the Lord changed the wind to a very strong west wind, which took up the locusts and hurled them into the Red Sea. But though not a single locust remained within the confines of Egypt. 20, the Lord made Pharaoh obstinate, and he would not let the Israelites go. 21. Then the Lord said to Moses, Stretch out your hand toward the sky, that over the land of Egypt there may be such intense darkness that one can feel it. 22. So Moses stretched out his hand toward the sky, and there was dense darkness throughout the land of Egypt for 3 days. 23. Men could not see one another, nor could they move from where they were for 3 days. But all the Israelites had light where they dwelt. 24. Pharaoh then summoned Moses and Aaron and said, Go and worship the Lord. Your little ones too may go with you, but your flocks and herds must remain. 25. Moses replied, You must also grant us sacrifices and holocausts to offer up to the Lord our God. 26. Hence, our livestock also must go with us. Not an animal must be left behind. Some of them we must sacrifice to the Lord our God, but we ourselves shall not know which ones we must sacrifice to him until we arrive at the place itself. But the Lord made Pharaoh obstinate, and he would not let them go. 28. Leave my presence, Pharaoh said to him, and see to it that you do not appear before me again. The day you appear before me you shall die. 29. Moses replied, Well said, I will never appear before you again. Exodus chapter 11. 1. Then the Lord told Moses, One more plague will I bring upon Pharaoh and upon Egypt. After that he will let you depart. In fact, he will not merely let you go, he will drive you away. 2. Instruct your people that every man is to ask his neighbor and every woman her neighbor for silver and gold articles and for clothing. 3. The Lord indeed made the Egyptians well disposed toward the people. Moses himself was very highly regarded by Pharaoh's servants and the people in the land of Egypt. For Moses then said, Thus says the Lord, At midnight I will go forth through Egypt. 5. Every firstborn in this land shall die, from the firstborn of Pharaoh on the throne to the firstborn of the slave girl at the handmill, as well as all the firstborn of the animals. 6. Then there shall be loud wailing throughout the land of Egypt, such as has never been, nor will ever be again. 7. But among the Israelites and their animals not even a dog shall growl, so that you may know how the Lord distinguishes between the Egyptians and the Israelites. 8. All these servants of yours shall then come down to me, and prostrate before me, they shall beg me, Leave us, you and all your followers, only then will I depart. With that he left Pharaoh's presence in hot anger. 9. The Lord said to Moses, Pharaoh refuses to listen to you, that my wonders may be multiplied in the land of Egypt. 10. Thus, although Moses and Aaron performed these various wonders in Pharaoh's presence, the Lord made Pharaoh obstinate, and he would not let the Israelites leave his land. Exodus chapter 12. 1. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, 2. This month shall stand at the head of your calendar. You shall reckon it the first month of the year. 3. Tell the whole community of Israel, on the 10th of this month, every one of your families must procure for itself a lamb, 1 apiece for each household. 4. If a family is too small for a whole lamb, it shall join the nearest household in procuring one, and shall share in the lamb in proportion to the number of persons who partake of it. 5. The lamb must be a year-old male and without blemish. You may take it from either the sheep or the goats. 6. You shall keep it until the 14th day of this month, and then, with the whole assembly of Israel present, it shall be slaughtered during the evening twilight. 7. They shall take some of its blood, and apply it to the 2 doorposts and the lintel of every house in 66, which they partake of the lamb. 8. That same night they shall eat its roasted flesh with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. 9. It shall not be eaten raw or boiled, but roasted whole, with its head and shanks and inner organs. 10. None of it must be kept beyond the next morning. Whatever is left over in the morning shall be burned up. 11. This is how you are to eat it. With your loins girt, sandals on your feet, and your staff in hand, you shall eat like those who are in flight. It is the Passover of the Lord. 12:4. On this same night I will go through Egypt, striking down every firstborn of the land, both man and beast, and executing judgment on all the gods of Egypt, I, the Lord. 13 But the blood will mark the houses where you are. Seeing the blood, I will pass over you. Thus, when I strike the land of Egypt, no destructive blow will come upon you. 14 This day shall be a memorial feast for you, which all your generations shall celebrate with pilgrimage to the Lord, as a perpetual institution. 15 For 7 days you must eat unleavened bread. From the very first day you shall have your houses clear of all leaven. Whoever eats leavened bread from the first day to the 7th shall be cut off from Israel. 16 On the first day you shall hold a sacred assembly, and likewise on the 7th. On these days you shall not do any sort of work, except to prepare the food that everyone needs. 17 Keep then this custom of the unleavened bread. Since it was on this very day that I brought your ranks out of the land of Egypt, you must celebrate this day throughout your generations as a perpetual institution. 18 From the evening of the 14th day of the first month until the evening of the 21st day of this month, you shall eat unleavened bread. 19 For 7 days no leaven may be found in your houses. Anyone, be he a resident alien or a native, who eats leavened food shall be cut off from the community of Israel. 20 Nothing leavened may you eat. Wherever you dwell you may eat only unleavened bread. 21 Moses called all the elders of Israel and said to them, Go and procure lambs for your families and slaughter them as Passover victims. 22 Then take a bunch of hyssop, and dipping it in the blood that is in the basin, sprinkle the lintel and the 2 doorposts with this blood. But none of you shall go outdoors until morning. 23 For the Lord will go by, striking down the Egyptians. Seeing the blood on the lintel and the 2 doorposts, the Lord will pass over that door and not let the destroyer come into your houses to strike you down. 24 You shall observe this as a perpetual ordinance for yourselves and your descendants. 25 Thus, you must also observe this rite when you have entered the land which the Lord will give you as he promised. 26 When your children ask you, What does this rite of yours mean? 27 You shall reply, This is the Passover sacrifice of the Lord, who passed over the houses of the Israelites in Egypt. When he struck down the Egyptians, he spared our houses. Then the people bowed down in worship. 28 And the Israelites went and did as the Lord had commanded Moses and Aaron. 29 At midnight the Lord slew every firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh on the throne to the firstborn of the prisoner in the dungeon, as well as all the firstborn of the animals. 30 Pharaoh arose in the night, he and all his servants and all the Egyptians, and there was loud wailing throughout Egypt, for there was not a house without its dead. 31 During the night Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron and said, Leave my people at once, you and the Israelites with you. Go and worship the Lord as you said. 32 Take your flocks, too, and your herds, as you demanded, and be gone, and you will be doing me a favor. 33 The Egyptians likewise urged the people on to hasten their departure from the land. They thought that otherwise they would all die. 34 The people therefore took their dough before it was leavened, in their kneading bowls wrapped in their cloaks on their shoulders. 35 The Israelites did as Moses had commanded. They asked the Egyptians for articles of silver and gold, and for clothing. 36 The Lord indeed had made the Egyptians so well disposed toward the people that they let them have whatever they asked for. Thus did they despoil the Egyptians. 37 The Israelites set out from Ramesses for Sukkot, about 600,000 men on foot, not counting the children. 38 A crowd of mixed ancestry also went up with them, besides their livestock, very numerous flocks and herds. 39 Since the dough they had brought out of Egypt was not leavened, they baked it into 67 unleavened loaves. They had been rushed out of Egypt and had no opportunity even to prepare food for the journey. 40 The time the Israelites had stayed in Egypt was 430 years. 41 At the end of 430 years, all the hosts of the Lord left the land of Egypt on this very date. 42 This was a night of vigil for the Lord, as he led them out of the land of Egypt. So on this same night all the Israelites must keep a vigil for the Lord throughout their generations. 43 The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, These are the regulations for the Passover. No foreigner may partake of it. 44 However, any slave who has been bought for money may partake of it, provided you have first circumcised him. 45 But no transient alien or hired servant may partake of it. 46 It must be eaten in one and the same house. You may not take any of its flesh outside the house. You shall not break any of its bones. 47. The whole community of Israel must keep this feast. 48. If any aliens living among you wish to celebrate the Passover of the Lord, all the males among them must first be circumcised, and then they may join in its observance just like the natives. But no man who is uncircumcised may partake of it. 49. The law shall be the same for the resident alien as for the native. 50. All the Israelites did just as the Lord had commanded Moses and Aaron. 51. On that same day, the Lord brought the Israelites out of Egypt company by company. Exodus chapter 13. 1. The Lord spoke to Moses and said, 2. Consecrate to me every firstborn that opens the womb among the Israelites, both of man and beast, for it belongs to me. 3. Moses said to the people, remember this day on which you came out of Egypt, that place of slavery. It was with a strong hand that the Lord brought you away. Nothing made with leaven must be eaten. For this day of your departure is in the month of Abib. 5. Therefore it is in this month that you must celebrate this rite, after the Lord your God has brought you into the land of the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Hivites, and Jebusites, which he swore to your fathers he would give you, a land flowing with milk and honey. 6. For 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread, and the 7th day shall also be a festival to the Lord. 7. Only unleavened bread may be eaten during the 7 days. No leaven and nothing leavened may be found in all your territory. 8. On this day you shall explain to your son, this is because of what the Lord did for me when I came out of Egypt. 9. It shall be as a sign on your hand and as a reminder on your forehead. Thus the law of the Lord will ever be on your lips, because with a strong hand the Lord brought you out of Egypt. 10. Therefore you shall keep this prescribed rite at its appointed time from year to year. 11. When the Lord your God has brought you into the land of the Canaanites, which he swore to you and your fathers he would give you. 12. You shall dedicate to the Lord every son that opens the womb, and all the male firstlings of your animals shall belong to the Lord. 13. Every firstborn of an ass you shall redeem with a sheep. If you do not redeem it, you shall break its neck. Every firstborn son you must redeem. 14. If your son should ask you later on, what does this mean? You shall tell him, with a strong hand the Lord brought us out of Egypt, that place of slavery. 15. When Pharaoh stubbornly refused to let us go, the Lord killed every firstborn in the land of Egypt, every firstborn of man and of beast. That is why I sacrifice to the Lord everything of the male sex that opens the womb, and why I redeem every firstborn of my sons. 16. Let this then be as a sign on your hand and as a pendant on your forehead. With a strong hand the Lord brought us out of Egypt. 17. Now, when Pharaoh let the people go, God did not lead them by way of the Philistines' land, though this was the nearest. For he thought, should the people see that they would have to fight, they might change their minds and return to Egypt. 18. Instead, he rerouted them toward the Red Sea by way of the desert road. In battle array, the Israelites marched out of Egypt. 19. Moses also took Joseph's bones along, for Joseph had made the Israelites swear solemnly that, when God should come to them, they would carry his bones away with them. 20. Setting out from Sukkot, they camped at Etham near the edge. 68. Of the desert. 21. The Lord preceded them, in the daytime by means of a column of cloud to show them the way, and at night by means of a column of fire to give them light. Thus they could travel both day and night. 22. Neither the column of cloud by day nor the column of fire by night ever left its place in front of the people. Exodus chapter 14. 1. Then the Lord said to Moses, 2. Tell the Israelites to turn about and camp before Pi-hahiroth, between Migdol and the sea. You shall camp in front of Baal-zephon, just opposite by the sea. 3. Pharaoh will then say, the Israelites are wandering about aimlessly in the land. The desert has closed in on them. 4. Thus will I make Pharaoh so obstinate that he will pursue them. Then I will receive glory through Pharaoh and all his army, and the Egyptians will know that I am the Lord. This the Israelites did. 5. When it was reported to the king of Egypt that the people had fled, Pharaoh and his servants changed their minds about them. What have we done? They exclaimed. Why, we have released Israel from our service. 6. So Pharaoh made his chariots ready and mustered his soldiers, 600 first-class chariots and all the other chariots of Egypt, with warriors on them all. 8. So obstinate had the Lord made Pharaoh that he pursued the Israelites even while they were marching away in triumph. 9. The Egyptians then pursued them, Pharaoh's whole army, his horses, chariots and charioteers, caught up with them as they lay encamped by the sea at Pi-hahiroth in front of Baal-zephon. 10 Pharaoh was already near when the Israelites looked up and saw that the Egyptians were on the march in pursuit of them. In great fright, they cried out to the Lord. 11 And they complained to Moses, "Were there no burial places in Egypt that you had to bring us out here to die in the desert? Why did you do this to us? Why did you bring us out of Egypt? 12 Did we not tell you this in Egypt when we said, 'Leave us alone, let us serve the Egyptians'? Far better for us to be the slaves of the Egyptians than to die in the desert." 13 But Moses answered the people, "Fear not. Stand your ground, and you will see the victory the Lord will win for you today. These Egyptians whom you see today you will never see again. 14 The Lord himself will fight for you, you have only to keep still." 15 Then the Lord said to Moses, "Why are you crying out to me? Tell the Israelites to go forward." 16 And you, lift up your staff, and with hand outstretched over the sea, split the sea in two, that the Israelites may pass through it on dry land. 17 But I will make the Egyptians so obstinate that they will go in after them. Then I will receive glory through Pharaoh and all his army, his chariots and charioteers. 18 The Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord, when I receive glory through Pharaoh and his chariots and charioteers. 19 The angel of God, who had been leading Israel's camp, now moved and went around behind them. The column of cloud also, leaving the front, took up its place behind them, 20 so that it came between the camp of the Egyptians and that of Israel. But the cloud now became dark, and thus the night passed without the rival camps coming any closer together all night long. 21 Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the Lord swept the sea with a strong east wind throughout the night, and so turned it into dry land. When the water was thus divided, 22 The Israelites marched into the midst of the sea on dry land, with the water like a wall to their right and to their left. 23 The Egyptians followed in pursuit. All Pharaoh's horses and charioteers went after them right into the midst of the sea. 24 In the night watch just before dawn, the Lord cast through the column of the fiery cloud upon the Egyptian force a glance that threw it into a panic. 25 And he so clogged their chariot wheels that they could hardly drive. With that the Egyptians sounded the retreat before Israel, because the Lord was fighting for them against the Egyptians. 26 Then the Lord told Moses, "Stretch out your hand over the sea, that the water may flow back upon the Egyptians, upon their chariots and their charioteers." 27 So Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and at dawn the sea flowed back to its normal depth. The Egyptians were fleeing head on toward the sea, when the Lord hurled them into its midst. 28 As 69 The water flowed back, it covered the chariots and the charioteers of Pharaoh's whole army which had followed the Israelites into the sea. Not a single one of them escaped. 29 But the Israelites had marched on dry land through the midst of the sea, with the water like a wall to their right and to their left. 30 Thus the Lord saved Israel on that day from the power of the Egyptians. When Israel saw the Egyptians lying dead on the seashore, 31, and beheld the great power that the Lord had shown against the Egyptians, they feared the Lord and believed in him and in his servant Moses. Exodus chapter 15. 1 Then Moses and the Israelites sang this song to the Lord. "I will sing to the Lord, for he is gloriously triumphant. Horse and chariot he has cast into the sea. 2 My strength and my courage is the Lord, and he has been my Savior. He is my God, I praise him. The God of my father, I extol him. 3 The Lord is a warrior, Lord is his name. 4 Pharaoh's chariots and army he hurled into the sea. The elite of his officers were submerged in the Red Sea. 5 The flood waters covered them, they sank into the depths like a stone. 6 Your right hand, O Lord, magnificent in power, your right hand, O Lord, has shattered the enemy. 7 In your great majesty you overthrew your adversaries, you loosed your wrath to consume them like stubble. 8 At a breath of your anger the waters piled up, the flowing waters stood like a mound, the flood waters congealed in the midst of the sea. 9 The enemy boasted, I will pursue and overtake them, I will divide the spoils and have my fill of them, I will draw my sword, my hand shall despoil them. 10 When your wind blew the sea covered them, like lead they sank in the mighty waters. 11 Who is like to you among the gods, O Lord? Who is like to you, magnificent in holiness? O terrible in renown, work of wonders. 12 When you stretched out your right hand, the earth swallowed them. 13 In your mercy you led the people you redeemed. In your strength you guided them to your holy dwelling. 14 The nations heard and quaked. Anguish gripped the dwellers in Philistia. 15 Then were the princes of Edom dismayed. Trembling seized the chieftains of Moab. All the dwellers in Canaan melted away. 16 Terror and dread fell upon them. By the might of your arm they were frozen like stone, while your people, O Lord, passed over, while the people you had made your own passed over. 17 And you brought them in and planted them on the mountain of your inheritance, the place where you made your seat, O Lord, the sanctuary, O Lord, which your hands established. 18 The Lord shall reign forever and ever. 19 They sang thus, because Pharaoh's horses and charioteers had gone into the sea, and the Lord made the waters of the sea flow back upon them, though the Israelites had marched on dry land through the midst of the sea. 20 The prophetess Miriam, Aaron's sister, took a tambourine in her hand, while all the women went out after her with tambourines, dancing. 21 And she led them in the refrain, Sing to the Lord, for he is gloriously triumphant. Horse and chariot he has cast into the sea. 22 Then Moses led Israel forward from the Red Sea, and they marched out to the desert of Shur. After traveling for 3 days through the desert without finding water, 23 They arrived at Marah, where they could not drink the water, because it was too bitter. Hence this place was called Marah. 24 As the people grumbled against Moses, saying, What are we to drink? 25 He appealed to the Lord, who pointed out to him a certain piece of wood. When he threw this into the water became fresh. It was here that the Lord, in making rules and regulations for them, put them to the test. 26 If you really listen to the voice of the Lord your God, he told them, and do what is right in his eyes, if you heed his commandments and keep all his precepts, I will not afflict you with any of the diseases with which I afflicted the Egyptians, for I, the Lord, am your healer. 27 Then they came to Elim, where there were 12 springs of water and 70 palm trees, and they camped there near the water. Exodus chapter 16. One having set out from Elim, the whole Israelite community came into the desert of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the 2nd month after their departure from the land of Egypt. 2 Here in the desert, the whole Israelite community grumbled against Moses and Aaron. 3 The Israelites said to them, Would that we had died at the Lord's hand in the land of Egypt, as we sat by our flesh pots and ate our fill of bread. But you had to lead us into this desert to make the whole community die of famine. For then the Lord said to Moses, I will now rain down bread from heaven for you. Each day the people are to go out and gather their daily portion. Thus will I test them, to see whether they follow my instructions or not. 5 On the 6th day, however, when they prepare what they bring in, let it be twice as much as they gather on the other days. 6 So Moses and Aaron told all the Israelites, At evening you will know that it was the Lord who brought you out of the land of Egypt. 7 And in the morning you will see the glory of the Lord, as he heeds your grumbling against him. But what are we that you should grumble against us? 8 When the Lord gives you flesh to eat in the evening, continued Moses, and in the morning your fill of bread, as he heeds the grumbling you utter against him, what then are we? Your grumbling is not against us, but against the Lord. 9 Then Moses said to Aaron, Tell the whole Israelite community, Present yourselves before the Lord, for he has heard your grumbling. 10 When Aaron announced this to the whole Israelite community, they turned toward the desert, and lo, the glory of the Lord appeared in the cloud. 11 The Lord spoke to Moses and said, 12 I have heard the grumbling of the Israelites. Tell them in the evening twilight you shall eat flesh, and in the morning you shall have your fill of bread, so that you may know that I, the Lord, am your God. 13 In the evening quail came up and covered the camp. In the morning a dew lay all about the camp. 14 And when the dew evaporated, there on the surface of the desert were fine flakes like hoarfrost on the ground. 15 On seeing it, the Israelites asked one another, What is this? For they did not know what it was. But Moses told them, This is the bread which the Lord has given you to eat. 16 Now this is what the Lord has commanded. So gather it that everyone has enough to eat, an omer for each person, as many of you as there are, each man providing for those of his own tent. 17 The Israelites did so. Some gathered a large and some a small amount. 18 But when they measured it out by the omer, he who had gathered a large amount did not have too much, and he who had gathered a small amount did not have too little. They so gathered that everyone had enough to eat. 19 Moses also told them, Let no one keep any of it over until tomorrow morning. 20 But they would not listen to him. When some kept a part of it over until the following morning, it became wormy and rotten. Therefore Moses was displeased with them. 21 morning after morning they gathered it, till each had enough to eat. But when the sun grew hot, the manna melted away. 22 On the 6th day they gathered twice as much food, 2 omers for each person. When all the leaders of the community came and reported this to Moses, 23 he told them, "That is what the Lord prescribed. Tomorrow is a day of complete rest, the Sabbath, sacred to the Lord. You may either bake or boil the manna as you please, but whatever is left put away and keep for the morrow." 24 When they put it away for the morrow, as Moses commanded, it did not become rotten or wormy. 25 Moses then said, "Eat it today, for today is the Sabbath of the Lord. On this day you will not find any of it on the ground. 26 On the other 6 days you can gather it, but on the 7th day, the Sabbath, none of it will be there." 27 Still, on the 7th day some of the people went out to gather it, although they did not find any. 28 Then the Lord said to Moses, "How long will you refuse to keep my commandments and laws?" 29 Take note, the Lord has given you the Sabbath. That is why on the 6th day he gives you food for 2 days. On the 7th day everyone is to stay home, and no one is to go out. 30 After that the people rested on the 7th day. 31 The Israelites called this food manna. It was like coriander seed, but white, and it tasted like wafers made with honey. 32 Moses said, "This is what the Lord has commanded. Keep an omerful of manna for your descendants, that they may see what food I gave you to eat in the desert when I 71 brought you out of the land of Egypt." 33 Moses then told Aaron, "Take an urn and put an omer of manna in it, then place it before the Lord in safekeeping for your descendants." 34 So Aaron placed it in front of the commandments for safekeeping, as the Lord had commanded Moses. 35 The Israelites ate this manna for 40 years, until they came to settled land. They ate manna until they reached the borders of Canaan. 36 An omer is 1/10 of an ephah. Exodus chapter 17. From the desert of Sin, the whole Israelite community journeyed by stages, as the Lord directed, and encamped at Rephidim. Here there was no water for the people to drink. 2 They quarreled therefore with Moses and said, "Give us water to drink." Moses replied, "Why do you quarrel with me? Why do you put the Lord to a test?" 3 Here, then, in their thirst for water, the people grumbled against Moses, saying, "Why did you ever make us leave Egypt? Was it just to have us die here of thirst with our children and our livestock?" 4 So Moses cried out to the Lord, "What shall I do with this people? A little more, and they will stone me." 5 The Lord answered Moses, "Go over there in front of the people, along with some of the elders of Israel, holding in your hand, as you go, the staff with which you struck the river. 6 I will be standing there in front of you on the rock in Horeb. Strike the rock, and the water will flow from it for the people to drink." This Moses did in the presence of the elders of Israel. 7 The place was called Massah and Meribah, because the Israelites quarreled there and tested the Lord, saying, "Is the Lord in our midst or not?" 8 At Rephidim, Amalek came and waged war against Israel. 9 Moses therefore said to Joshua, "Pick out certain men, and tomorrow go out and engage Amalek in battle. I will be standing on top of the hill with the staff of God in my hand." 10 So Joshua did as Moses told him. He engaged Amalek in battle after Moses had climbed to the top of the hill with Aaron and Hur. 11 As long as Moses kept his hands raised up, Israel had the better of the fight, but when he let his hands rest, Amalek had the better of the fight. 12 Moses' hands, however, grew tired, so they put a rock in place for him to sit on. Meanwhile Aaron and Hur supported his hands, one on one side and one on the other, so that his hands remained steady till sunset. 13 And Joshua mowed down Amalek and his people with the edge of the sword. 14 Then the Lord said to Moses, "Write this down in a document as something to be remembered, and recite it in the ears of Joshua. I will completely blot out the memory of Amalek from under the heavens." 15 Moses also built an altar there, which he called Yahweh Nissi. 16 For he said, "The Lord takes in hand his banner. The Lord will war against Amalek through the centuries." Exodus chapter 18. Now Moses' father-in-law Jethro, the priest of Midian, heard of all that God had done for Moses and for his people Israel, how the Lord had brought Israel out of Egypt. 2 So his father-in-law Jethro took along Zipporah, Moses' wife, whom Moses had sent back to him, 3 and her 2 sons. One of these was called Gershom, for he said, "I am a stranger in a foreign land." 4 The other was called Eliezer, for he said, "My father's God is my helper. He has rescued me from Pharaoh's sword." 5 Together with Moses' wife and sons, then his father-in-law Jethro came to him in the desert where he was encamped near the mountain of God. 6 And he sent word to Moses, I, Jethro, your father-in-law, am coming to you, along with your wife and her 2 sons. 7 Moses went out to meet his father-in-law, bowed down before him, and kissed him. Having greeted each other, they went into the tent. 8 Moses then told his father-in-law of all that the Lord had done to Pharaoh and the Egyptians for the sake of Israel, and of all the hardships they had had to endure on their journey, and how the Lord had come to their rescue. 9 Jethro rejoiced over all the goodness that the Lord had shown Israel in rescuing them from the hands of the Egyptians. 10 Blessed be the Lord, he said, who has rescued his people from the hands of Pharaoh and the 72 Egyptians. 11 Now I know that the Lord is a deity great beyond any other, for he took occasion of their being dealt with insolently to deliver the people from the power of the Egyptians. 12 Then Jethro, the father-in-law of Moses, brought a holocaust and other sacrifices to God, and Aaron came with all the elders of Israel to participate with Moses' father-in-law in the meal before God. 13 The next day Moses sat in judgment for the people, who waited about him from morning until evening. 14 When his father-in-law saw all that he was doing for the people, he inquired, What sort of thing is this that you are doing for the people? Why do you sit alone, while all the people have to stand about you from morning till evening? 15 Moses answered his father-in-law, The people come to me to consult God. 16 Whenever they have a disagreement, they come to me to have me settle the matter between them and make known to them God's decisions and regulations. 17 You are not acting wisely, his father-in-law replied. 18 You will surely wear yourself out, and not only yourself but also these people with you. The task is too heavy for you, you cannot do it alone. 19 Now listen to me, and I will give you some advice, that God may be with you. Act as the people's representative before God, bringing to him whatever they have to say. 20 Enlighten them in regard to the decisions and regulations, showing them how they are to live and what they are to do. 21 But you should also look among all the people for able and God-fearing men, trustworthy men who hate dishonest gain, and set them as officers over groups of thousands, of hundreds, of 50s, and of 10s. 22 Let these men render decisions for the people in all ordinary cases. More important cases they should refer to you, but all the lesser cases they can settle themselves. Thus your burden will be lightened, since they will bear it with you. 23 If you do this, when God gives you orders, you will be able to stand the strain, and all these people will go home satisfied. 24 Moses followed the advice of his father-in-law and did all that he had suggested. 25 He picked out able men from all Israel and put them in charge of the people as officers over groups of thousands, of hundreds, of 50s, and of 10s. 26 They rendered decisions for the people in all ordinary cases. The more difficult cases they referred to Moses, but all the lesser cases they settled themselves. 27 Then Moses bade farewell to his father-in-law, who went off to his own country. Exodus chapter 19. 1 In the 3rd month after their departure from the land of Egypt, on its first day, the Israelites came to the desert of Sinai. 2 After the journey from Rephidim to the desert of Sinai, they pitched camp. While Israel was encamped here in front of the mountain, 3 Moses went up the mountain to God. Then the Lord called to him and said, Thus shall you say to the house of Jacob, Foretell the Israelites, You have seen for yourselves how I treated the Egyptians, and how I bore you up on eagle wings and brought you here to myself. 5 Therefore, if you hearken to my voice and keep my covenant, you shall be my special possession, dearer to me than all other people, though all the earth is mine. 6 You shall be to me a kingdom of priests, a holy nation. That is what you must tell the Israelites. 7 So Moses went and summoned the elders of the people. When he set before them all that the Lord had ordered him to tell them, 8 The people all answered together, Everything the Lord has said, we will do. Then Moses brought back to the Lord the response of the people. 9 The Lord also told him, I am coming to you in a dense cloud, so that when the people hear me speaking with you, they may always have faith in you also. When Moses then had reported to the Lord the response of the people, 10 The Lord added, Go to the people and have them sanctify themselves today and tomorrow. Make them wash their garments 11 and be ready for the 3rd day, for on the 3rd day the Lord will come down on Mount Sinai before the eyes of all the people. 12 Set limits for the people all around the mountain, and tell them, Take care not to go up the mountain, or even to touch its base. If anyone touches the mountain, he must be put to death. 13 No hand shall touch him, he must be stoned to death or killed with arrows. Such a one, man or beast, must not be allowed to live. Only when the ram's horn resounds may they go up to thee. 73. Mountain. 14 Then Moses came down from the mountain to the people and had them sanctify themselves and wash their garments. 15 He warned them, be ready for the third day, have no intercourse with any woman. 16 On the morning of the third day there were peals of thunder and lightning, and a heavy cloud over the mountain, and a very loud trumpet blast, so that all the people in the camp trembled. 17 But Moses led the people out of the camp to meet God, and they stationed themselves at the foot of the mountain. 18 Mount Sinai was all wrapped in smoke, for the Lord came down upon it in fire. The smoke rose from it as though from a furnace, and the whole mountain trembled violently. 19 The trumpet blast grew louder and louder, while Moses was speaking and God answering him with thunder. 20 When the Lord came down to the top of Mount Sinai, he summoned Moses to the top of the mountain, and Moses went up to him. 21 Then the Lord told Moses, go down and warn the people not to break through toward the Lord in order to see him, otherwise many of them will be struck down. 22 The priests too, who approach the Lord must sanctify themselves, else he will vent his anger upon them. 23 Moses said to the Lord, the people cannot go up to Mount Sinai, for you yourself warned us to set limits around the mountain to make it sacred. 24 The Lord repeated, go down now, then come up again along with Aaron. But the priests and the people must not break through to come up to the Lord, else he will vent his anger upon them. 25 So Moses went down to the people and told them this. Exodus chapter 20. 1 Then God delivered all these commandments. 2 I, the Lord, am your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, that place of slavery. 3 You shall not have other gods besides me. 4 You shall not carve idols for yourselves in the shape of anything in the sky above, or on the earth below, or in the waters beneath the earth. 5 You shall not bow down before them or worship them. For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, inflicting punishment for their fathers' wickedness on the children of those who hate me, down to the 3rd and 4th generation. 6 But bestowing mercy down to the 1000th generation, on the children of those who love me and keep my commandments. 7 You shall not take the name of the Lord, your God, in vain, for the Lord will not leave unpunished him who takes his name in vain. 8 Remember to keep holy the Sabbath day. 9 6 days you may labor and do all your work. 10 But the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord your God. No work may be done then either by you, or your son or daughter, or your male or female slave, or your beast, or by the alien who lives with you. 11 In 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea and all that is in them, but on the 7th day he rested. That is why the Lord has blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. 12 Honor your father and your mother, that you may have a long life in the land which the Lord your God is giving you. 13 You shall not kill. 14 You shall not commit adultery. 15 You shall not steal. 16 You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. 17 You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, nor his male or female slave, nor his ox or ass, nor anything else that belongs to him. 18 When the people witnessed the thunder and lightning, the trumpet blast and the mountain smoking, they all feared and trembled. So they took up a position much farther away. 19 And said to Moses, you speak to us, and we will listen, but let not God speak to us, or we shall die. 20 Moses answered the people, do not be afraid, for God has come to you only to test you and put his fear upon you, lest you should sin. 21 Still the people remained at a distance, while Moses approached the cloud where God was. 22 The Lord told Moses, thus shall you speak to the Israelites, you have seen for yourselves that I have spoken to you from heaven. 23 Do not make anything to rank with me, neither gods of silver nor gods of gold shall you make for yourselves. 24 An altar of earth you shall make for me, and upon it you shall sacrifice your holocausts and peace offerings, your sheep and your oxen. In whatever place I choose for the remembrance of my name I will come to you and bless you. 25 If you make an altar of stone for me, do not build it of cut. 74 Stone, for by putting a tool to it you desecrate it. 26 You shall not go up by steps to my altar, on which you must not be indecently uncovered. Exodus chapter 21. 1 These are the rules you shall lay before them. 2. When you purchase a Hebrew slave, he is to serve you for 6 years, but in the 7th year he shall be given his freedom without cost. 3. If he comes into service alone, he shall leave alone. If he comes with a wife, his wife shall leave with him. 4. But if his master gives him a wife, and she bears him sons or daughters, the woman and her children shall remain the master's property, and the man shall leave alone. 5. If, however, the slave declares, I am devoted to my master and my wife and children, I will not go free. 6. His master shall bring him to God, and there, at the door or doorpost, he shall pierce his ear with an awl, thus keeping him as his slave forever. 7. When a man sells his daughter as a slave, she shall not go free as male slaves do. 8. But if her master, who had destined her for himself, dislikes her, he shall let her be redeemed. He has no right to sell her to a foreigner, since he has broken faith with her. 9. If he destines her for his son, he shall treat her like a daughter. 10. If he takes another wife, he shall not withhold her food, her clothing, or her conjugal rights. 11. If he does not grant her these 3 things, she shall be given her freedom absolutely, without cost to her. 12. Whoever strikes a man a mortal blow must be put to death. 13. He, however, who did not hunt a man down, but caused his death by an act of God, may flee to a place which I will set apart for this purpose. 14. But when a man kills another after maliciously scheming to do so, you must take him even from my altar and put him to death. 15. Whoever strikes his father or mother shall be put to death. 16. A kidnapper, whether he sells his victim or still has him when caught, shall be put to death. 17. Whoever curses his father or mother shall be put to death. 18. When men quarrel and one strikes the other with a stone or with his fist, not mortally, but enough to put him in bed. 19. The one who struck the blow shall be acquitted, provided the other can get up and walk around with the help of his staff. Still, he must compensate him for his enforced idleness and provide for his complete cure. 20. When a man strikes his male or female slave with a rod so hard that the slave dies under his hand, he shall be punished. 21. If, however, the slave survives for a day or 2, he is not to be punished, since the slave is his own property. 22. When men have a fight and hurt a pregnant woman, so that she suffers a miscarriage, but no further injury, the guilty one shall be fined as much as the woman's husband demands of him, and he shall pay in the presence of the judges. 23. But if injury ensues, you shall give life for life. 24. Eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot. 25. Burn for burn, wound for wound, stripe for stripe. 26. When a man strikes his male or female slave in the eye and destroys the use of the eye, he shall let the slave go free in compensation for the eye. 27. If he knocks out a tooth of his male or female slave, he shall let the slave go free in compensation for the tooth. 28. When an ox gores a man or a woman to death, the ox must be stoned. Its flesh may not be eaten. The owner of the ox, however, shall go unpunished. 29. But if an ox was previously in the habit of goring people, and its owner, though warned, would not keep it in, should it then kill a man or a woman, not only must the ox be stoned, but its owner also must be put to death. 30. If, however, a fine is imposed on him, he must pay in ransom for his life, whatever amount is imposed on him. 31. This law applies if it is a boy or a girl that the ox gores. 32. But if it is a male or a female slave that it gores, he must pay the owner of the slave 30 shekels of silver, and the ox must be stoned. 33. When a man uncovers or digs a cistern and does not cover it over again, should an ox or an ass fall into it. 34. The owner of the cistern must make good by restoring the value of the animal to its owner. The dead animal, however, he may keep. 35. When one man's ox hurts another's ox so badly that it dies, they shall sell the live ox and divide this money as well as the dead animal equally between them. 36. But if it was known that the ox was previously in the habit of goring and its owner would not keep it in, he must make full restitution. 75. An ox for an ox, but the dead animal he may keep. Exodus chapter 22. 1. If a thief is caught in the act of housebreaking and beaten to death, there is no blood guilt involved. 2. But if after sunrise he is thus beaten, there is blood guilt. He must make full restitution. If he has nothing, he shall be sold to pay for his theft. 3. If what he stole is found alive in his possession, be it an ox, an ass, or a sheep, he shall restore 2 animals for each one stolen. 4. When a man is burning over a field or a vineyard, if he lets the fire spread so that it burns in another's field, he must make restitution with the best produce of his own field or vineyard. 5. If the fire spreads further and catches on to thorn bushes, so that shocked grain or standing grain or the field itself is burned up, the one who started the fire must make full restitution. 6. When a man gives money or an article to another for safekeeping, and it is stolen from the latter's house, the thief, if caught, must make twofold restitution. 7. If the thief is not caught, the owner of the house shall be brought to God, to swear that he himself did not lay hands on his neighbor's property. 8. In every question of dishonest appropriation, whether it be about an ox, or an ass, or a sheep, or a garment, or anything else that has disappeared, where another claims that the thing is his, both parties shall present their case before God. The one whom God convicts must make twofold restitution to the other. 9. When a man gives an ass, or an ox, or a sheep, or any other animal to another for safekeeping, if it dies, or is maimed or snatched away, without anyone witnessing the fact, 10. The custodian shall swear by the Lord that he did not lay hands on his neighbor's property. The owner must accept the oath, and no restitution is to be made. 11. But if the custodian is really guilty of theft, he must make restitution to the owner. 12. If it has been killed by a wild beast, let him bring it as evidence, and he need not make restitution for the mangled animal. 13. When a man borrows an animal from his neighbor, if it is maimed or dies while the owner is not present, the man must make restitution. 14. But if the owner is present, he need not make restitution. If it was hired, this was covered by the price of its hire. 15. When a man seduces a virgin who is not betrothed and lies with her, he shall pay her marriage price and marry her. 16. If her father refuses to give her to him, he must still pay him the customary marriage price for virgins. 17. You shall not let a sorceress live. 18. Anyone who lies with an animal shall be put to death. 19. Whoever sacrifices to any god, except to the Lord alone, shall be doomed. 20. You shall not molest or oppress an alien, for you were once aliens yourselves in the land of Egypt. 21. You shall not wrong any widow or orphan. 22. If ever you wrong them and they cry out to me, I will surely hear their cry. 23. My wrath will flare up, and I will kill you with the sword. Then your own wives will be widows, and your children orphans. 24. If you lend money to one of your poor neighbors among my people, you shall not act like an extortioner toward him by demanding interest from him. 25. If you take your neighbor's cloak as a pledge, you shall return it to him before sunset. 26. For this cloak of his is the only covering he has for his body. What else has he to sleep in? If he cries out to me, I will hear him, for I am compassionate. 27. You shall not revile God, nor curse a prince of your people. 28. You shall not delay the offering of your harvest and your press. You shall give me the firstborn of your sons. 29. You must do the same with your oxen and your sheep. For 7 days the firstling may stay with its mother, but on the 8th day you must give it to me. 30. You shall be men sacred to me. Flesh torn to pieces in the field you shall not eat. Throw it to the dogs. Exodus chapter 23. 1. You shall not repeat a false report. Do not join the wicked in putting your hand as an unjust witness upon anyone. 2. Neither shall you allege the example of the many as an excuse for doing wrong, nor shall you, when testifying in a lawsuit, side with the many in perverting justice. 3. You shall not favor a poor man in his lawsuit. 4. When you come upon your enemy's ox or ass going 76. Astray, see to it that it is returned to him. 5. When you notice the ass of one who hates you lying prostrate under its burden, by no means desert him, help him rather to raise it up. 6. You shall not deny one of your needy fellow men his rights in his lawsuit. 7. You shall keep away from anything dishonest. The innocent and the just you shall not put to death, nor shall you acquit the guilty. 8. Never take a bribe, for a bribe blinds even the most clear-sighted and twists the words even of the just. 9. You shall not oppress an alien. You well know how it feels to be an alien, since you were once aliens yourselves in the land of Egypt. 10. For 6 years you may sow your land and gather in its produce. 11. But the 7th year you shall let the land lie untilled and unharvested, that the poor among you may eat of it, and the beasts of the field may eat what the poor leave. So also shall you do in regard to your vineyard and your olive grove. 12. For 6 days you may do your work, but on the 7th day you must rest, that your ox and your ass may also have rest, and that the son of your maidservant and the alien may be refreshed. 13. Give heed to all that I have told you. Never mention the name of any other god. It shall not be heard from your lips. 14. 3 times a year you shall celebrate a pilgrim feast to me. 15. You shall keep the feast of unleavened bread. As I have commanded you, you must eat unleavened bread for 7 days at the prescribed time in the month of Abib, for it was then that you came out of Egypt. No one shall appear before me empty-handed. 16. You shall also keep the feast of the grain harvest with the first of the crop that you have sown in the field. And finally, the feast at the fruit harvest at the end of the year, when you gather in the produce from the fields. 17. Thrice a year shall all your men appear before the Lord God. 18. You shall not offer the blood of my sacrifice with leavened bread, nor shall the fat of my feast be kept overnight till the next day. 19. The choicest first fruits of your soil you shall bring to the house of the Lord your God. You shall not boil a kid in its mother's milk. 20. See, I am sending an angel before you to guard you on the way and bring you to the place I have prepared. 21. Be attentive to him and heed his voice. Do not rebel against him, for he will not forgive your sin. My authority resides in him. 22. If you heed his voice and carry out all I tell you, I will be an enemy to your enemies and a foe to your foes. 23. My angel will go before you and bring you to the Amorites, Hittites, Perizzites, Canaanites, Hivites, and Jebusites, and I will wipe them out. 24. Therefore, you shall not bow down in worship before their gods, nor shall you make anything like them. Rather, you must demolish them and smash their sacred pillars. 25. The Lord your God you shall worship. Then I will bless your food and drink, and I will remove all sickness from your midst. 26. No woman in your land will be barren or miscarry, and I will give you a full span of life. 27. I will have the fear of me precede you, so that I will throw into panic every nation you reach. I will make all your enemies turn from you in flight. 28. And ahead of you I will send hornets to drive the Hivites, Canaanites, and Hittites out of your way. 29. But not in 1 year will I drive them all out before you, else the land will become so desolate that the wild beasts will multiply against you. 30. Instead, I will drive them out little by little before you, until you have grown numerous enough to take possession of the land. 31. I will set your boundaries from the Red Sea to the Sea of the Philistines, and from the desert to the river. All who dwell in this land I will hand over to you to be driven out of your way. 32. You shall not make a covenant with them or their gods. 33. They must not abide in your land, lest they make you sin against me by ensnaring you into worshipping their gods. Exodus chapter 24. 1. Moses himself was told, Come up to the Lord, you and Aaron, with Nadab, Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel. You shall all worship at some distance. 2. But Moses alone is to come close to the Lord. The others shall not come too near, and the people shall not come up at all with Moses. 3. When Moses came to the people and related all the words and ordinances of the Lord, they all answered with one voice, We will do everything that the Lord has told us. 4. Moses then 77. Wrote down all the words of the Lord, and rising early the next day, he erected at the foot of the mountain an altar and 12 pillars for the 12 tribes of Israel. 5. Then, having sent certain young men of the Israelites to offer holocausts and sacrifice young bulls as peace offerings to the Lord, 6. Moses took half of the blood and put it in large bowls. The other half he splashed on the altar. 7. Taking the book of the covenant, he read it aloud to the people, who answered, All that the Lord has said, we will heed and do. 8. Then he took the blood and sprinkled it on the people, saying, This is the blood of the covenant which the Lord has made with you in accordance with all these words of his. 9. Moses then went up with Aaron, Nadab, Abihu, and 70 elders of Israel. 10. And they beheld the God of Israel. Under his feet there appeared to be sapphire tilework, as clear as the sky itself. 11. Yet he did not smite these chosen Israelites. After gazing on God, they could still eat and drink. 12. The Lord said to Moses, Come up to me on the mountain, and while you are there, I will give you the stone tablets on which I have written the commandments intended for their instruction. 13. So Moses set out with Joshua, his aide, and went up to the mountain of God. 14. The elders, however, had been told by him, Wait here for us until we return to you. Aaron and Hur are staying with you. If anyone has a complaint, let him refer the matter to them. 15. After Moses had gone up, a cloud covered the mountain. 16. The glory of the Lord settled upon Mount Sinai. The cloud covered it for 6 days, and on the 7th day he called to Moses from the midst of the cloud. 17. To the Israelites, the glory of the Lord was seen as a consuming fire on the mountaintop. 18 But Moses passed into the midst of the cloud as he went up on the mountain, and there he stayed for 40 days and 40 nights. Exodus chapter 25. 1 This is what the Lord then said to Moses. 2 Tell the Israelites to take up a collection for me. From every man you shall accept the contribution that his heart prompts him to give me. 3 These are the contributions you shall accept from them: gold, silver, and bronze, 4 violet, purple, and scarlet yarn, fine linen and goat hair, 5 ram skins dyed red and tahash skins, acacia wood, 6 oil for the light, spices for the anointing oil and for the fragrant incense, 7 onyx stones and other gems for mounting on the ephod and the breastpiece. 8 They shall make a sanctuary for me, that I may dwell in their midst. 9 This dwelling and all its furnishings you shall make exactly according to the pattern that I will now show you. 10 You shall make an ark of acacia wood, 2.5 cubits long, 1.5 cubits wide, and 1.5 cubits high. 11 Plate it inside and outside with pure gold, and put a molding of gold around the top of it. 12 Cast 4 gold rings, and fasten them on the 4 supports of the ark, 2 rings on one side and 2 on the opposite side. 13 Then make poles of acacia wood, and plate them with gold. 14 These poles you are to put through the rings on the sides of the ark, for carrying it. 15 They must remain in the rings of the ark and never be withdrawn. 16 In the ark you are to put the commandments which I will give you. 17 You shall then make a propitiatory of pure gold, 2 cubits and a half long, and 1.5 cubits wide. 18 Make 2 cherubim of beaten gold for the 2 ends of the propitiatory, 19 Fastening them so that 1 cherub springs direct from each end. 20 The cherubim shall have their wings spread out above, covering the propitiatory with them. They shall be turned toward each other, but with their faces looking toward the propitiatory. 21 This propitiatory you shall then place on top of the ark. In the ark itself you are to put the commandments which I will give you. 22 There I will meet you, and there, from above the propitiatory, between the 2 cherubim on the ark of the commandments, I will tell you all the commands that I wish you to give the Israelites. 23 You shall also make a table of acacia wood, 2 cubits long, a cubit wide, and a cubit and a half high. 24 Plate it with pure gold, and make a molding of gold around it. 25 Surround it with a frame, a handbreadth high, with a molding of gold around the frame. 26 You shall also make 4 rings of gold for it, and fasten them at the 4 corners, 1 at each leg, 27 on 2 opposite sides of the 78 frame as holders for the poles to carry the table. 28 These poles for carrying the table you shall make of acacia wood and plate with gold. 29 Of pure gold you shall make its plates and cups, as well as its pitchers and bowls for pouring libations. 30 On the table you shall always keep showbread set before me. 31 You shall make a lampstand of pure beaten gold, its shaft and branches, with its cups and knobs and petals springing directly from it. 32 6 branches are to extend from the sides of the lampstand, 3 branches on one side and 3 on the other. 33 On one branch there are to be 3 cups, shaped like almond blossoms, each with its knob and petals. On the opposite branch there are to be 3 cups, shaped like almond blossoms, each with its knob and petals, and so for the 6 branches that extend from the lampstand. 34 On the shaft there are to be 4 cups, shaped like almond blossoms, with their knobs and petals, 35 including a knob below each of the 3 pairs of branches that extend from the lampstand. 36 Their knobs and branches shall so spring from it that the whole will form but a single piece of pure beaten gold. 37 You shall then make 7 lamps for it, and so set up the lamps that they shed their light on the space in front of the lampstand. 38 These, as well as the trimming shears and trays, must be of pure gold. 39 Use a talent of pure gold for the lampstand and all its appurtenances. 40 See that you make them according to the pattern shown you on the mountain. Exodus chapter 26. 1 The dwelling itself you shall make out of sheets woven of fine linen twined and of violet, purple, and scarlet yarn, with cherubim embroidered on them. 2 The length of each shall be 28 cubits, and the width 4 cubits. All the sheets shall be of the same size. 5 of the sheets are to be sewed together, edge to edge, and the same for the other 5. 4 Make loops of violet yarn along the edge of the end sheet in one set, and the same along the edge of the end sheet in the other set. 5 There are to be 50 loops along the edge of the end sheet in the first set, and 50 loops along the edge of the corresponding sheet in the second set, and so placed that the loops are directly opposite each other. 6. Then make 50 clasps of gold, with which to join the 2 sets of sheets, so that the dwelling forms one whole. 7. Also make sheets woven of goat hair, to be used as a tent covering over the dwelling. 8. 11 such sheets are to be made. The length of each shall be 30 cubits, and the width 4 cubits. All 11 sheets shall be of the same size. 9. Sew 5 of the sheets, edge to edge, into one set, and the other 6 sheets into another set. Use the 6-sheet double at the front of the tent. 10. Make 50 loops along the edge of the end sheet in one set, and 50 loops along the edge of the end sheet in the second set. 11. Also make 50 bronze clasps, and put them into the loops, to join the tent into one whole. 12. There will be an extra half sheet of tent covering, which shall be allowed to hang down over the rear of the dwelling. 13. Likewise, the sheets of the tent will have an extra cubit's length to be left hanging down on either side of the dwelling to protect it. 14. Over the tent itself, you shall make a covering of ram's skins dyed red, and above that, a covering of tahash skins. 15. You shall make boards of acacia wood as walls for the dwelling. 16. The length of each board is to be 10 cubits, and its width 1.5 cubits. 17. Each board shall have 2 arms that shall serve to fasten the boards in line. In this way, all the boards of the dwelling are to be made. 18. Set up the boards of the dwelling as follows: 20 boards on the south side, 19 with 40 silver pedestals under the 20 boards, so that there are 2 pedestals under each board at its 2 arms. 20 boards on the other side of the dwelling, the north side, 21 with their 40 silver pedestals, 2 under each board. 22 6 boards for the rear of the dwelling to the west, 23 and 2 boards for the corners at the rear of the dwelling. 24 These 2 shall be double at the bottom, and likewise double at the top to the first ring. That is how both boards in the corners are to be made. 25 Thus there shall be in the rear 8 boards with their 16 silver pedestals, 2 pedestals under each board. 26 Also make bars of acacia wood, 5 for the boards on one side of the dwelling, 27 5 for those on the other side, and 5 for those at the rear toward the west. 28. The center bar at the middle of the boards shall reach across from end to end. 29 Plate the boards with gold, and make gold rings on them as holders for the bars, which are also to be plated with gold. 30 You shall erect the dwelling according to the pattern shown you on the mountain. 31 You shall have a veil woven of violet, purple, and scarlet yarn, and of fine linen twined, with cherubim embroidered on it. 32 It is to be hung on 4 gold-plated columns of acacia wood, which shall have hooks of gold, and shall rest on 4 silver pedestals. 33 Hang the veil from clasps. The ark of the commandments you shall bring inside, behind this veil which divides the holy place from the holy of holies. 34 Set the propitiatory on the ark of the commandments in the holy of holies. 35 Outside the veil you shall place the table and the lampstand, the latter on the south side of the dwelling, opposite the table, which is to be put on the north side. 36 For the entrance of the tent make a variegated curtain of violet, purple, and scarlet yarn, and of fine linen twined. 37 Make 5 columns of acacia wood for this curtain, have them plated with gold, with their hooks of gold, and cast 5 bronze pedestals for them.